Hey everybody, how's it going? This is TUSDarryl and welcome to my review of Saturday Morning RPG, a game that reminds you of your childhood in many ways, shape or form. Many ways, shape or form? You get my point. It's a game that reminds you of simpler times, of cartoons that you wake up for on a Saturday morning. It's in the title. Anyway, let's continue on and talk about the story. Briefly, you play as Marty, a high school student with powers that came from a magic notebook. In true Saturday morning cartoon fashion, each episode has its own semi-connected plot that leads up to its finale. Aspects of each episode, there are 5 total, are going to carry over, but other ones are just going to be like, this is the Christmas episode, this is this episode, this is that episode. You know, it's one of those. Semi-episodic. That's what I'm going for. Let's move on and talk about the graphics. So first things first, I do like what Saturday Morning RPG is going for as a graphic style. I do like the pixelated art style they have going to pixel art, and the environments, the general layouts of the environments, they're very simplistic, but they get the job done. There's some that are a little more complicated, but you'll get the lay of things as you go. I'll talk more about that when I get to gameplay. But the downside of these visuals is that they can feel very flat, like they don't have much depth to them, at least when you're walking around in the overworld in general. I say overworld because when you enter combat phases, they enter like a turn-based system, and in those, Marty goes from looking like I don't know, I'm gonna say it jokingly, he goes from looking like you only give like you know how you give like a stick figure like a head, the line is the body, and then you might do legs and arms. He goes from looking like something like that to looking more anatomically correct. Let's put it that way. There's more detail added when you actually get into the fights themselves, but otherwise you're fighting, or you're approaching sprites in the overworld, very tiny sprites. Once you get into fights, they're more blown up. The footage will show what I'm talking about. It's really hard to describe. I've never had to really describe it that way before. But long story short, the graphics are good. I enjoy looking at them, but they're a little flat and leave a bit to be desired. But the style is there. The style is definitely there. Let's talk about sound for a moment. So outside of a few things, I think the sound is okay at best. A lot of it can come off as very tinny, in my opinion. Some of them, I understand what they're going for. They're trying to make references to, hey, look at this. This is a Transformers reference. Hey, this is a Michael Jackson reference. Hey, this is a reference to this. Hey, we're making jokes and parodies about 80s and 90s cartoons and whatnot and pop culture. Okay, cool, great, nice. But the sounds still leave a lot to be desired, as I said, with the tinny sound, where actually tinny is the way I want to put it. But let's say you're playing, it'd be easier to compare it to something like, say, an anime fighting game. So let's take Dragon Ball, for example. We all know, at least I'm assuming, making a major assumption here, that we all know what Dragon Ball Z sounds like when we hear Dragon Ball Z. And it sounds like they just took some sounds, not saying they did, but it sounds like they took some sounds from various aspects of pop culture and either warped them, changed them, or said, this is a direct reference, so we're going to mimic it to the best of our ability rather than trying to make it our own kind of thing. You know what I'm trying to say? It sounds like it was warped and not really built from the ground up with some sounds, while other ones sound completely fine. I'm gonna say that sound is a mixed bag overall. Not too bad, not great. It gets the job done. Let's talk about the meat and potatoes. Let's talk about the gameplay. So as you probably noticed so far, side note, I'm mostly going off script here. And by mostly, I mean I only put a few bullets and I'm kind of thinking off the top of my head and whatnot with this kind of stuff. I know what I want to say, but it's causing me to trip up a lot, so forgive me. But I only have one bullet for gameplay, and it's fun at first, but very repetitive as the game goes. And by that, I mean the gameplay loop is there. It's fun. Initially, you can power up a multiplier for more damage for your abilities and whatnot. You can use a normal attack in the middle of combat. You can also use a magic ability, which is essentially your abilities, your skills and whatnot. You have the Michael Jackson glove, but they're not going to call it the Michael Jackson glove. That can paralyze enemies. If you hit them with it, you can hit them with a floppy disk, and if you kill them with it, they'll turn into a Windows error. There's some funny skills in there that I honestly, if I were to go back, I just use the ones I haven't used before. But once you find a set few that work for you, some that are admittedly pretty powerful, you probably won't use the other ones. That's the unfortunate bit. As for the overworld, like I mentioned before, you can walk around the general area and whatnot of each level. There are going to be some side quests and whatnot you can complete, and some pretty funny-ish dialogue. It's what you kind of expect for like something that's trying to emulate a Saturday morning cartoon. Like, Marty's got a girl that he really likes, he wants to impress her and this and the other, but she's dating Chad. His name wasn't actually Chad, but you get my point when I say that. Accepting these quests and whatnot will get you experience accepting them will get you the quest itself, and then completing them will get you experience points, which then once you level up to a certain point, and depending on how high the rank of completion that you've done for the quest, or well, not for the quest, but ranks apply to combat, you might get bonus XP and bonus money. The money you can use to buy skills and stickers and whatnot. Well, stickers that give you skills and abilities from a vending machine that you can slap in your notebook and be like, look at me, I have either some passive buffs or I'm using some other superpower or ability and whatnot. While the quests themselves will just give you a major boost to that stuff. Or by boost to that stuff, I mean a major boost to XP and whatnot. And once you get enough experience points, you can put a skill point in your strength, speed, defense, or whatever. I put it in my strength and speed because I'm always the glass cannon type when it comes to this kind of stuff. If I can kill you faster than you can kill me, then I've done my job, essentially. But besides that, after a while, I'd say after episode 2, it gets a little meh. You get more stickers, you get more abilities and whatnot, but after a while, you kind of just want to finish the game. That's one of the reasons why it took me so long, is not just because of duo queue stuff. Our review and a discussion for our where we stand is what I mean to say for Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 7 may or may not be up right now. If they are, go check that out. Anyway, after episode 2, it gets mundane. Like at that point, the only thing the game has going for it is an okay-ish story, and by I mean okay, I mean serviceable enough for each episode it's in. You're gonna have a favorite episode here, you're gonna have a favorite episode there. Personally, I liked episode 3. But by then, I was like, I just want to finish this thing. It's not really giving me much incentive to keep going, but that's when I'm grateful for the fact that the game is not that long at all. Honestly, if I wasn't editing dual queue stuff and focusing that mostly, I probably would have had this game done within 2 days. If I really sat there and just played it. Not even 2, 1 probably, one night. But that's beside the point. All in all, gameplay, fun at first, but it gets very repetitive. There are other modes and whatnot that you can play, but I didn't take interest in them, like an endless mode and an arena mode. I'm like, nah, not really feeling it. I don't have any bugs to talk about, so I'm just gonna move on to the final verdict. I'm gonna give this game a caution, not because it's bad, it's not. And not because it's overpriced, because it's not. It's $7 on Steam. I don't know how much it is on the Switch. I believe it's on the Switch. But I just don't think it'd be very interesting. If it sounds interesting for you, then by all means, there's no harm in it. We all spend a little over $7 every day. So if you want to spend $7 on this, then by all means, sure, that's fine. But if you were to ask me if I could go back and tell my past self, hey, this game, you should finish this or whatever, I would tell my past self, don't bother. I know that some people, you might think that I would say avoid them, but I really like to say avoid for games that are just like, this is just straight up bad or anti-consumer or something like that. I would save it for the more extreme cases like that. Hence why caution is what I'm choosing in this case. So if you liked what you heard and you like the more loose format I'm going with here for reviews, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you guys have all enjoyed your stay. Check out DuoQ, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.